Some of the best health coaches do not come from a health background. And in fact, today we are going to be speaking with Amy Hodgson, who was an engineer. And so sometimes you can bring that skill set that works so well in your engineer background into your coaching practice. And today we're going to explore what had Amy shift over. How does she handle the dual identities as engineer and health coach? And some of the things that prompted it and how she serves her people and really goes back to serving that community that she knows and loves. So, welcome all the way from New Zealand. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, Dr. Shaunna. So excited to be here with you.
I'm excited to chat with you. And you have a unique background uh, coming from New Zealand. And so thank you for taking the time to be with us here today. I know time zones are different. And so I appreciate that. And I know that you're a very busy woman. But tell us a little bit about you and what kind of work did you do before growing up? What had you led you to become an engineer? And then what led you to explore health coaching of all things?
Yeah, cool. So I was always been very active as a child and loved being outdoors. And the civil engineering was something I knew I could do as a job and be outdoors. And coincidentally, it turned out, yeah, physics and calculus, I also really enjoyed it at high school. Over the last 20 years or so, I've been working on water infrastructure projects and large-scale tunneling projects in the road and rail sectors. I've really enjoyed the problem solving and working closely with, diverse teams to get jobs done and things built. Also had a big interest in sport, so I played representative cricket for a big part of my younger years, and yeah, used to pushing myself both through my career and also in sport and physical activity.
Yeah. And I think there is a segment of the population who's like, this is a girl after my own heart, like high achiever, go-getter, in her career, in sport, driven. And so what led you to be inspired to think about health coaching, or how did you even stumble upon the thing? Tell us about your own personal health challenges, because kind of that pushing, uh, did have a price to pay, and so this can serve as a warning for some of those others. So that's what you shared was the good side of that, but there is also the other side of that sometimes people can overdo it. So tell us a little bit about what led you into health coaching.
Yeah, well, I guess it took me a long time to realize that pushing through, achieving things um, was one thing, but to sort of be almost suffering silently in the background is another. So, from an adolescent, I was a young teenager when I was diagnosed with Graves' disease. So I was struggling with energy for a big part of my life, and not really getting to the bottom of why. So even with medication, and I had radioactive iodine treatment at age 21, things still didn't resolve. I didn't feel like I had the energy that I should,
Yeah.
even though I didn't really know what sort of true energy should feel like. And I was also experiencing a lot of unexplained face pain, which I was treated as sinus infections and things like that, but it did carry through with me for more than 2 decades really. So I guess out of frustration, but then also curiosity, I learnt how important um, our nervous systems are, and how precious they are, but
Yeah.
also how powerful our immune systems are as well. So I started to sort of open my mind wider, um, uh, tap into that curiosity and yeah, try and understand those two systems so that I could use them to serve me.
Yeah. And so some of the things that were at the root of that, you kind of had a number of specialties and therapists and doctors and specialists and acupuncturists, and it was significant, like 20 years of this. Uh, and partly it kept going because would you say, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would you say it lasted so long because this go, 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 redlining, pushing the envelope was part of that identity of who you were. And so as long as we're on high alert with our nervous system, then this symptom was going to continue. And what was it where you're like, oh, that allowed you to connect the dots that stress and a dysregulated nervous system was really at the core of some of these really significant symptoms that are inevitably going to affect your ability to do your amazing career that you love, like to do it well, and you're like pushing past it and doing it anyways, but at what cost? So fill in a little bit of the blanks about how did you determine that, or what did you do to get around that, so that now it's so much different than it was, say, 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, I did, I think, cling on to an identity around tenacity. So,
Yeah.
someone described me as tenacious, which I sort of thought, that could be a, nice badge to wear. I could, prove that I'm a good, team player, team member. I think I had a series of sort of small turning points around sort of confronting and acknowledging the nervous system side of things. And when I started to notice smells and things instead of pain, I thought, man, this is powerful. My body can function if I let it. So until that point, I'd been talking and engaging with a lot of different therapists and things, and sort of slowly building up my knowledge on the that nervous system. And when I got a taste for what normal feels like, it just kind of fueled my curiosity and determination to sort of stay in that state and to I still needed to learn a lot more, but it gave me the confidence to sort of take ownership once and for all of my own health. And yeah, knowing that I can support my system and I guess treat the machine, with the respect that I needed to. So armed with a bit of education, a bit of, firsthand experience, yeah, I think that's what really pulled me into the health coaching scene and the wellness
Yes.
world.
What sort of benefits or what sort of differences did you notice in your own health? Like, did you notice an improvement at work, mental clarity, stamina? Did you notice any improvement? So sometimes, pushing forward, we get that, but we can burn out. And did you notice when you did that some tangible benefits, either physically, mentally, with your family? What were some of the things that when you took a step back, when you observed the pattern, when you adjusted it, so like uh, clinically, logically, as it were, like that, that's how you're wired. Did you notice some, definite tangible benefits from that?
Yeah, I think that depth of stamina was really huge, and I think that's directly related to that mental clarity, and then comes confidence. And part of that confidence piece is knowing and serving yourself, first as a priority, before showing up for a team when you're not in a state, to do so. So, yeah, a lot of that inner confidence is something that's reflecting in the work that I do, and it's supporting my ambition. So, yeah, maybe I'm leveraging ambition rather than tenacity, and it's serving me a bit better.
Well, and it's
Mm.
it's interesting because we can people a lot of people wear their stress as a badge of honor.
Mm.
Even stay-at-home moms will wear that stress and all that they have to do, their busyness, as a badge of honor. Like, you should see what I have to do, and it's a slippery slope. And I did that too. Like, as a busy doctor, you and I both are uh, were professionally in male-dominated backgrounds, like in specialties. So, as a radiologist, for myself, as a civil engineer for you, uh, that's a whole other layer. So there is, like, you're not going to be vulnerable. You're not going to say that you have to take care of yourself, that you can't hack it. And so everybody's just kind of abusing themselves. And it's as my mom used to say, just because everyone else is doing it doesn't make it right. And
Yeah.
but everybody else is doing it. And it really takes a level of bravery, or the symptoms being so bad for
Mm.
so long, and where it's starting to short circuit, and that you cannot operate at your best. And you are someone who is tenacious, but one of the reasons is you want to be respected. You are good at your career, but you know that at some point in time, at what expense. And so, and there's a ceiling that happens if we don't fuel, yourself. And I think you had mentioned something once, um, about high performing people, and how it and something about self-care, or I don't know, you said it better, but how it's important. Like, you can't neglect yourself, or you're not, whether it's as an athlete or as a professional. Do you care to speak on that at all?
You're not going to be able to serve others, or, perform, if you haven't first, primed yourself, for the long haul. The fact that it's so common that people, get to that burnout stage, they let it get so bad before they reach that turning point. In the work I do, I try and work with people to nip that in the bud before it gets so bad.
Yeah.
So learning to take note of the whispers, that the body is signaling, and if you don't know where to start, or if it does seem overwhelming, then do reach out, seek that support, keep your mind open. I know, yeah, in our society, sort of the GP is the one-stop shop, and if they don't have the answer, well, then we carry on. But I don't, yeah, like to be able to empower more and more people. Yeah, remember that they've got a lot more say in their health rather than outsourcing it, and leaving it there.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I think more and more people have to come to the realization. I think more and more people are coming to the realization that we can't or outsource our health.
Mm.
I think that's the reason I became a doctor, because as a kid, but I grew out of this idea. But as a kid, I thought, well, uh, if somebody gets sick, and I see people still have that thought, well, if I get sick, that's okay, I'll just go to the doctor and they'll fix me. And that's not how it works. And I think that's, as a kid, why I wanted to be a doctor, so I could fix people. But the body's a miracle that will heal itself if we give it half a chance. And that's where coaches come in, and is because you are in a role of being able to help that person give their body half a chance. And that's what you did for yourself. That's what you've done for others now. Tell us a little bit about who you help as a health coach, because not just like everybody, although you certainly could, but who do you particularly have an affinity? Who's coming asking for your help? Who is it that you love to serve?
Well, I love to serve those, much like me. Women who are engineers or on technical roles, who want to do well, are doing well in their career, but there is that knowing that the bodies might not be keeping up as it should, and you might have that feeling of sort of operating with the handbrake on, which is not a good way to run the machine for too long. So yeah, working with engineers, especially, and yeah, helping them unpack, and sort of start to look inwards, respect, and better understand, where they can really lift their underlying health, so they can continue to perform and do the things they're used to doing and want to keep doing.
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. And I think, people who are kind of walking the same shoes, those high professionals or high achieving professionals. Um, what are some of your favorite parts of health coaching? It's very different than engineering. I mean, you certainly bring some of the strengths that you had in engineering, but what are some of your favorite parts?
Yeah, well, bringing in that, looking out for patterns, and to a certain degree, the problem solving.
Yes.
I can still leverage on them, but the deep connections, and it's probably something that we're not necessarily used to doing when we're trying to build bridges and tunnels and things like that. So I really enjoy that deep connection that coaching allows me to do. And yeah, as I mentioned before, helping people realize that even though we're used to adapting and we're used to struggling or pushing through it, it shouldn't really be the normal way. And these things they will catch up to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And you know, why would you wait until you're at crisis or you know, things are getting really, really tough to address that. So yeah, love people helping with yeah, opening their minds so they can see things a bit differently and sort of perhaps give themselves a bit more respect in the process.
Yeah, and
Mm.
it's two kind of a twofold at least. One, helping prevent some of those
Mm.
diseases of stress, where they're going to get the sudden heart attack, or the stroke, where they really like, okay, we got to pay the price for the lack of attention here. Uh, but even more importantly, because that's kind of hard to measure, but even more importantly, in the here and now, right now, when they still have their stressful career, when they're
Mm.
trying to get ahead, being able to be on point, clarity, energy, being able to be firing on all cylinders. It's a game changer. And
Mm.
so it is the competitive edge. If we don't really care about the details there, if we don't take care in certain areas, that bridge collapse, that's going to be a bigger problem later. Same thing with our body. If we're like, it's okay, I'll just push past this, it's going to be a bigger problem later. And so helping people not only prevent the problems later, but actually here and now do better at their job, enjoy it more, being able to
Mm.
enjoy their life, their work, and their family and their health. Because if you don't have health, you're not really enjoying it. And I think uh, and coaching in itself, that dynamic, that mirror of relationship where you some of the same things, because we're always on our path, some of those same things that your clients are dealing with, you're like, it's a good reminder, it's a good
Mm.
accountability partner, if you will, as you're going through that, and you're like, oh, this is where this is working, and it's like it just kind of keeps you honest, if you will,
It does.
at paying attention, and as a reminder, because some of your clients might have some more significant challenges, maybe if they've let it go too far, and it's like a good reminder, oh, this is why I'm doing this, all the time. And
Yeah.
that. Before
Mm.
joining us at the Health Professional Academy, do you remember what was something that you were struggling with? Like, what were like, man, if someone would just help me with this, because we have people all the time listening in, and sort of kind of going back to relating to where were you at? What was some of the things that you were looking for, and like, what are some of the things that you like best about this journey so far?
Yeah, I think the first thing, and I know it's common, is that I wanted to be able to help everyone or anyone, and but you know, with not having that clear niche or that clear yeah, target market, it's hard to communicate, you know, what you can offer.
Yes.
So yeah, working with the Health Professional Academy, honing in on that niche, you know, being proud of it, owning it. And what I like about mine is that I'm not neglecting an industry that, you know, that I've been with for some time now. I'm still able to serve it, you know,
Yes.
but in a different way as well. So yeah, I guess the other thing that I was struggling with is that professional identity. So, you know, being a proud engineer and also being an ambitious health coach. It's something that I definitely want to keep developing it, keep serving others with. Um, I was struggling to understand or see how I could be both. So I don't want to confuse, you know, my clients. You know, they want to see me deliver, you know, safe, sound pieces of work. So I didn't want to confuse them by them suddenly realizing or noticing or seeing that I'm also helping people with their health journeys. So, as you've kindly said to me before, you know, get over yourself. Um, and that's something that that I've been really working on over the last 9 months or so, which I've been really pleased with my progress actually. And yeah, that's something that I'll continue to strive for is yeah, let go of some of that yeah, worrying what other people think. Just being true to myself, and that's messages that keep coming up for me over and over again. And then the community. Yeah, working with other health coaches, going through a similar path, but with such diverse backgrounds, and yeah, sort of sharing our insights with the framework, and it's very encouraging, uplifting.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the first thing you were mentioning about the niche, I mean, that's really at the core. And that's something that a lot of people struggle with. They can't figure out how am I going to get my niche and what is it? And it kind of looks like everybody else's. And one thing that you can do is cone. So if you're a health coach listening to this and like, how do I pick my niche? Some things that you look at are certain health challenges that you've had. And so, and then you have to see what resonates with you. So like Amy having Graves could have been like the Graves health coach. Like that is an option for her. Doesn't mean she has to do that, but sometimes a diagnosis that could be it. Sometimes it's a nationality, sometimes it's a gender, sometimes it's an age demographic, menopausal women, for example, and sometimes it can be an occupation. So she could have just focused on engineers, or it's like I was going to say stereotype, but kind of a stereotype archetype, but it is that type of person who is a high achieving. And so that person who is like not wanting to like just wait for things to happen, who wants to get out ahead of it. And some people, um, there's different health coaches for different people. And I love all of you. And so some people are going to resonate with someone who is, let's call him woo, let's call him super woo woo, and love all of that and the way that they are there. But some people will resonate with you, Amy, who's logical, who's like, here's the input, here's the output. You want this, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to bring you there with love and compassion in both, and honoring the unique journey of each individual in both circumstances. But your own approach is going to resonate with people. I remember one of the first guys that taught me how to meditate. Uh, he kind of looked like a biker from New York. He looked and sounded like a biker. He had his big beard, his big gruff guy. And I think I needed that because I was in a room with a bunch of yogis, lovingly there. And I love that. I love that. But from where I was as that doctor, like science struts, let me get my like head around what is this stuff that you're doing? I liked like if he's doing this and he's seen amazing stuff in his life. And so sometimes you need it just wrapped in a different package. That's all. And so you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And that's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I am someone's cup of tea. And same with you. And I think as if you're listening to this, your practice doesn't have to be an approach doesn't need to be exactly like Amy's. And Amy's people will be perfect for her. The people who find her, it's perfect. And in fact, you will attract people. Like you've had clients with Graves. You don't even talk about the fact that you help people with Graves. That happens all the time. We will craft these avatars behind the scenes. One of my clients helped women tennis players get rid of knee pain, but we never said tennis players. And three out of our first four clients played tennis. And so you just really sink into like, who is that person? And they're going to be able to receive the message better in your way. And then you know a thing or two about what it's like to be an engineer, male or female, but especially a woman engineer, the unique special challenges. And so you automatically speak the language. And so, same with if somebody is I don't know, uh, baker or a realtor, or a nurse or a paramedic, there's a certain lifestyle and a language that you know a thing or two about. So lean into that. So those are some of the things. Of course, you can help whoever you want, but being able to narrow it down, being able to articulate it so that your people can find you. And then as you're talking and as you're just being then you don't have to be anybody you're not. You are you. That's going to resonate. And we were talking about identities and people pleasing and as a doctor, when I was a doctor going over to become a health coach, like part of me is like, I mean, I was a really good doctor. I mean, I don't want to say it, but I was good at what I did. But people might think, oh, and I know this is probably what you were thinking, like, you worked so hard to get to the top of your game professionally, Amy, right? And so then you're like, oh, I guess she wasn't very good. I'm like, no, that's the last thing that I would want to have happen is somebody think, no. And it was like, I was here, I went to medical school, yeah, and then I went to residency, and then I had my practice, and then health coaching up here, like even better, rather than just slapping band-aids on, diagnosing, sending them on their way. No, 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 root cause. So this is that for me, that next evolution for me, that was the next step, and then the next step. And then when you're doing two jobs, then I'll bring it back to you. But there's some really, so you touched on a few important teaching points that if people are tuning in and listening, that I think that will be really helpful. If you have two jobs, you have your day job and you're bringing in this health coaching, and sometimes people like to keep both for all the time, or they're just in the transition of moving over. Um, it depends on it's okay to keep them separate. I will just say. So for me, as a doctor, I never took on a patient as a health coach. That was they came to me with this. So likewise, now in that case, they're coming to me for their health. So I really felt like that is a conflict there. Having said that, all my coworkers, the other doctors, the office managers, the nurses, the techs, fair game. In your case, you could help people that you work with, but it's not like you're on the job site and saying, hey, by the way, you want me to help you with that weight problem I see? We're not going to go there, but also not hide it either. They're going to notice it in the foods you eat, the way you carry yourself, the mental clarity that you have. I was listening to a interview, and it was somebody who was on Broadway as an understudy, and it was extremely stressful because they had to know all these lines for all these roles, and they never knew which one they were going to have to fill in and go, "Da-da," and they were like losing their hair and losing their health. And it was really stressful to be always like that. And there was somebody else who was also an understudy who had even more of the roles, and they had no problem. And the thing that she said, she's like, how are you able to do this? How are you able to function like this? I'm like, just go on and just nail it and look like you're actually enjoying this. She said meditation. And so that's what led this person to start meditating. And so likewise, when you're just being you and you're like, be your own walking, talking billboard, and people are like, I want what she's having. What is it? And you're like, hey, and then that's where you can start to invite them into that conversation. So I just wanted to touch on a number of things. If you are a health coach and you're like struggling with like, how do I find out my niche? We just opened up these small group trainings. We're sold out continuously for the last 3 months in a row in the Health Professional Academy. But I wanted to offer something beyond just the books, which you can also get a free copy below of these books because that's helpful. But a small group training, we're just limiting it to 5 at the moment. It's not for everybody. You do have to just do a quick call to apply to make sure that you're a health coach, that you'll get some value out of it, that you matter, that this topic matters to you. And then it'll be 90 minutes with me, and we'll just focus on your business, where you're at, what is the constraint, what's working. So there'll be a link below if you're looking for some information about that, so that we can point you in that direction and look at refining your niche and messaging and all those kind of things. It's something new that we just opened up. Okay, back to you, Amy. So you help women with engineers, high achievers with their stress, their energy, their mental clarity. And they do have high stress jobs and that. What do you think are some of the myths that you see amongst your peers and your colleagues when they're trying to get out of that brain fog or the overwhelm that is crippling them?
Yeah, I think the most common thread that I see is people fixated on discipline, and I've got good at being disciplined. And but that doesn't necessarily mean you're serving yourself in the best way possible. So um, sort of breaking down that discipline mindset and uh, working with people to understand what's unique to them,
Yeah,
how their system works, and then introducing small steps to make change.
yeah,
So yeah, just I like to drop the discipline thing as soon as possible because
yeah.
it's such a common thing that people sort of go down that path, they get fixated on. Yeah, so it's breaking down that discipline mindset.
Yeah, because they're just trying to push hard. It's kind of like
Mm,
people who are dieting, just starving themselves. And you're like, that's not going to work because that stresses you out, and it's not sustainable. It's not healthy, and and so they're what they need is not like more pressure here.
mm,
That's not it. That's the opposite of what. And in fact, that pushing themselves is what's keeping them stuck. And they need a
mm,
more support, more clarity, and focusing on the real constraints, the real things. Because if we're just like trying to like muscle through, I'll get healthy, or I'll just keep pushing through on my goals and without actually managing, as you were saying, resetting the nervous system or managing hormonal health or gut health, it's going to fall apart and it's
mm.
not going to work. So yeah, tell us this journey to become a health coach. So I mean, it's quite a leap to go from engineer to health coach. You're still an engineer, but as you take on this new persona, I kind of feel like for with you, it feels like it's a nice balance. It kind of softens the edge of like of and but also like I feel like you're bringing the best of both worlds, like really bringing some structure and some results and some pattern and some science to the health coaching, and then bringing some compassion and understanding and heart um, to engineering and
Mm.
these profession in this profession, both to yourself and to the people in your world, so that the whole world, your little whole world, is like so much better and better into balance. What are some of the things that you love about it, or or how you've grown through this entire process?
I think you summed that up pretty nicely, actually. Currently, the balance is something that's working out really nicely. I'm not abandoning one industry for another. I'm expanding and growing in both. And you touched on it with the health coaching that I'm doing. I feel like in my leadership at work, I am bringing a coaching lens into it, which is a good way to develop people. As they start to understand what they want, what they need. Maybe as their professional pathway. But I noticed that the dialogue and that depth of conversation is starting to happen more and more actually in our industry, which is really pleasing. So I am still happy there. Sometimes I wish there were, 20 days in a week somehow,
Yeah.
and that I could, give more and more to both. Um, but yeah, with the health coaching, it's that deep connection and seeing people, with the light bulb moments, and sometimes there are step changes, but often it is just incremental. And having being an accountability partner, what seems to work well for engineers as well. um,
Yeah.
to account when they're exploring and trying different things to see what really serves them.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm loving it all at the moment.
Yeah, and I think
Mm,
that's the other wonderful thing. I mean, I think health coaching is one of the best careers on the planet because you can really work with who you want, when you
mm,
want, how much you want, from where you want. You design it, and
mm.
and sometimes it can feel like a runaway train or like it's going too fast or too slow, certainly. But you are ultimately in control of this and learning how to drive what I call your vehicle here is part of the game, and you get better and better at it. But just like, not having to have it look like anybody else's, not having
Mm.
to have your practice, your life. It just has to work for you. And the great thing about coaching is you do have that freedom. A lot of times people don't realize it, but you do have that freedom to make it look like however. And it feels like you've struck a really beautiful balance that fuels you up. That's healthier for you, happier for you. Your clients are the beneficiaries of that. We've been talking a lot about kind of what you do for people, kind of like on the surface level. And I think it would be helpful to have like an example of what you mean because the results that you get for people are really profound. And like when we just sum it up in a little list of things, I don't think people really get it. And but because you get to the root cause, because you help them address all of those things that we were talking about, the nerve system and so on, then the benefits are profound. Do you have any like examples to share of where somebody, a client might have come to you with this, and then some of the results that have happened and like why that's like so profound and important for them?
Yeah, one client comes to mind who was feeling extremely overwhelmed, and she had a lot of sort of some of them were token goals,
Yeah.
and often when you are feeling overwhelmed and you don't have that clarity to sort of articulate or even think about what those goals are, um, but she actually had Graves' disease, so that was sort of a clear, easy one to sort of state as something to get on top of, and hopefully one day, come off the medications and realizing that that could be a bit of a journey. Yeah, this person was really just wanted to start with the overwhelm, which was fine. So. Um, One of the reasons she was overwhelmed, the brain was feeling cluttered, her house was feeling cluttered. So um, just by starting to take little steps, so for example, taking her young child's clothes to a relative, cleared up almost a whole room in a house, and all of a sudden there's that physical space, but also a bit of space in the mind as well. And from there. Um, Things just sort of kept improving and compounding. And her mental clarity shot up. She's still got the same stresses that were there, in her home life and in the workplace. But she feels that she's able to connect more deeply with her child. She's got a preschooler. So even just reading with her in the evenings, leading the daughter practice reading, but also giving herself time to read. She's ticking all these boxes, feeling really great about it. There's just so many elements of your life that just become easier. And then you can as you gain more clarity, you can really just keep refining it. It keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, and I think when I remember when I was working as a doctor at in Calgary actually, and just being like there was moments and times I was so stressed and I felt like sometimes like I couldn't think my way out of a paper bag. And so like when you're like overwhelmed, and certainly I had lots to be overwhelmed by, like, but then there's also that state that like you still have that to-do list. And so being able to help them think clearly, get the mental clarity, get rid of the physical clutter, and then that gets rid of the mental clutter. The two are connected. I've seen that, and even physically as well. Like, if I do a cleanse ever, like I have my mind is sharper, my business works better, like it's all connected. But then to be able to make time space for her daughter, that's huge. That's huge. And so often, like, then if we don't do that, we start to feel guilty and like, I'm like, but you don't have the bandwidth to get out of it. And so what might just seem like overwhelm is really about spending time with your daughter, with her daughter, and her being little, like, be a great role model. Those are really important things to be able to help her with. And yeah, that, like, life changing, like that's significant. And relationships improve, mood improves, and now we're on the trajectory and going in the
Mm,
right direction. So
mm.
yeah, thank you for the work that you do and the impact that you're having in the world. If people have questions for you, or you're like, Amy's my type of coach. She fits me. I want to talk to her because she will understand what I'm going through. Where can people get in touch with you, Amy?
Yeah, sure. I have a website, smilingprofessionals.com. And then I am on Instagram, and that's smiling_professionals.
Awesome. So smilingprofessionals.com, and Instagram is at smiling_underscore professionals. And it was lovely to chat with you. I appreciate the work that you do. I love that you're spreading the light and love over in New Zealand. Of course, you're global, but it is really nice that health coaching is over in that part of the world, and you're serving that engineer, more left brain type of person who needs help with their health too. And I just appreciate you for all the work that you do, and thank you for being here. And if you are listening to this and you're like, how do I get my practice up and running? I'm going to put a link to the 5 steps to create a successful practice so that you can know what should you focus on first and next. So we can get you on your track to help your unique group of people in your unique way with your unique voice. With that, have a fantastic week. And thank you, Amy, and be good for you.
Thank you. Been a pleasure.